is a review, but not everybody was here the first time I did it. So it'll be new to some of you, which is always a good thing. And review never hurts either. So defensive play to the first trick. How can I figure out what my partner has? What am I supposed to do? And then what happens in the subsequent play on defense? Of course, this assumes that your partner is the opening leader, and you need to ask yourself after you have done, you're looking at the dummy and saying, okay, they're in a game contract. They have about 26 points. I have 7. That means my partner has about 7 points, probably. Is this the top of a sequence lead? Is this low from a broken tennis, or maybe low from a singleton honor? Does it look like a doubleton high-low? You need to go through all of that first before you start thinking about what card you're going to play to the trick. So obviously you're going to look at the dummy and see what kind of cards the dummy has in that suit. What's my holding in partner's suit? And then the final thing to consider is the bidding. So much of the time, newer players tend to consider the bidding and the play of the hand completely separate parts. They are not. The bidding should have a huge amount of impact on the way you play or defend a hand. And of course, this means that you and your partner both need to remember the bidding, and then you need to have good, solid agreements on what your opening leads are, and how you're going to proceed from there. I mentioned the top of the sequence. That's always my favorite lead because it virtually never gives away a trick. And sometimes leading fourth from the longest and strongest does let the opponents steal a trick. But you do the best you can with what you have, what information you have at the time. Now then, if partner didn't bid, you need to make note of that, especially if he didn't lead his suit. If he didn't lead his suit and he bid, then he has some kind of combination that indicates it's not suitable for an opening lead. Maybe he has ace, queen, fifth in his suit. I would not lead the ace, particularly if my partner hadn't supported, and I wouldn't underlead the ace against a suit contract. Now, if it's a no-trump contract, that's another story, but I don't even like to underlead suits that are ace, queen, and out, even if it's a 5-card suit. As opening leader, I have to look at my hand and say, does my partner have enough in his hand that he will ever get on lead so he can lead my suit for me? If he does not, well, then I may end up leading that suit that's ace, queen, whatever. If it's a no-trump contract, I know that the opponents have a stopper. I mean, it's suicide to bid no trump without a stopper. But if you're at the 1 level, you might survive. But if you're at the 3 level, certainly you need to have a stopper in the suit that the opponents bid. Now then, once we've thought about all of this, and I mean, this is what the declarer's making his plan. The defenders need to be making their plan too. How many tricks do I need to take? What does partner's lead indicate to me? Is it the top of a doubleton? Does that mean I need to play my ace and then return it? Sometimes, but very often it is more effective to encourage on the first round of a suit, intending, particularly if you have a high trump honor, of getting the lead early, now taking the ace and returning the suit so that partner can get a ruff. If you take your ace first, especially if you don't have another entry to your hand, how are you ever going to give partner that ruff? And I'm sorry I've digressed a little bit here, but here is a rule that you can apply and follow it all the time. And this is not always the case in this game. When partner leads a low card and there is no honor in the dummy, You play the highest card you have. No honor in dummy, no exceptions. What's the reason for that? You want to unblock the suit. You've got to get out of your partner's way. If you have a high honor in your hand, the last thing you want to do is take the third trick with that high honor and now have to guess at how to get back into your partner's hand, or maybe you can't get back into your partner's hand. This is the whole reason for this rule, is to get your high cards in your partner's suit out of your hand. So here's an example. Your partner leads the 2 here against 3 no trump. This indicates to me that my partner has 4 cards in the suit, simply because my agreements with my partners are 4th from my longest and strongest if we don't have a sequence. Dummy has only small cards. And here's what I have. The king, jack, and 5. I'm not going to play the jack. It may look like I should finesse against my partner, but that's not my job. My job is to help partner set up his suit, and number 2 job is to get out of his way. So I'm going to play the king, absolutely. Let's see why. Notice if I play the jack, Declarer has the queen. Declarer is not entitled to a trick with that card. If I play the king, now then the next thing that I have to be concerned about is, which card do I return next? Well, I'm still remembering the rule. Get the high cards in partner's suit out of your hand. So the idea here is to return current count. After you've played to the first trick, there's a doubleton left. How do we lead from a doubleton? We lead the top one. So Mr. Third Hand here should play the king, followed by the jack. Notice that traps the queen here. If the declarer ducks and plays the 9, the jack will hold the trick. Then the 5 can be led, the queen will fall, partner will take his ace, and he will get a trick with the 10. There's our book right there. We need only one more trick to set 3 no trump. But if we let the declarer get a trick with the queen, then we have squandered an opportunity to get a good score on this board. That's the reason for the rule, is because of situations like this. I admit this is a lesson example. Lesson examples always work, don't they? Whereas when we're at the table, they don't always work out the way they're supposed to. Sometimes declarer will have the ace here instead of the queen, but it doesn't make any difference. Whether partner has the ace or the queen, we need to help him set up the cards so that he can get the most tricks possible from that suit. So the defense takes the first 4 tricks in this scenario. But if East decides that he's going to be cute and finesse against his partner, thinking he has the queen, he'll get burned. Declarer will get a trick with the queen, and now, of course, they're wide open, but you're not going to get 4 tricks from this suit. You're only going to get 3. And that may be just the trick that the declarer needs to make the bid. Now, the only exception to this rule is when the third hand holds touching honors. In that case, you play the lower if you have 2, or the lowest if you have 3 or more of the touching honors. In other words, you win from the bottom and you lead from the top.
Susan,
yes.
If that were a Trump contract, would you play the jack?
No, I'd play the king. I'd play the king.
Of course, you know the declarer's
My
got the
partner
ace,
doesn't
right?
underread aces against a suit contract. So I have to assume that he has the queen rather than the ace.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right. Here you are on lead against 3 no trump. You lead the 4th one down from your longest suit here. It's the 5. Dummy plays the 4. Your partner plays the jack, and declarer plays the queen. Tell me where the ace and 10 are. Does your partner have the ace?
Declarer.
Declarer has the ace. We know because if partner had the ace, there are no honors in the dummy. So if partner had the ace, he'd have played it. So let's give the ace to the declarer. How about the 10? When your partner played the jack, he denied having the 10. When you hold the jack and the 10, you play the 10, the lower of touching honors. So declarer holds both the ace and the 10. Does everybody see that? Automatically from the first trick, you know that the declarer still has the ace and 10 over there. So rather than you're leading the suit again, you need to hope that your partner can get on lead in another suit and push another card in this suit through the dummy. That tells you that it's not going to be very productive for you to keep leading this suit when you get on lead. Partner did the best he could playing the jack. Playing the jack denies the 10, and when he doesn't play the ace, that just marks it with the declarer. Now then, here's another example. This time you only have a 4-card suit. You lead the 3. Dummy plays the 6 from these 2. Your partner plays the queen, and declarer plays the ace. Now then, later on, partner gets the lead back, and he leads the 2. How many did he have originally?
2.
He could have had 2. He could have had 4. Because he would lead, if he had 3 left, he would lead the bottom one, right?
Yes.
Now, when you return current count, he is showing you that he started with an even number of cards in the suit. You can think about the bidding and figure out whether partner had 4 or 2. Generally, if you have no other clues, you may have to think about it again. But the dummy started with only 2 of them, so the odds highly favor. Well, you know it's an even number. If it's only 2 of them, then the declarer has most everything else. And I'm going to be lucky to get just a trick with the king here. But when partner leads back, he gives you current count. And when you lead low like this, you lead the bottom, he either has 3 left or he has only the 2 left. This is one of them that can be a little bit difficult to read. But if you look at the shape of the dummy and the shape of your hand and remember the bidding, you can generally figure it out. Okay. Now then,
Susan,
yes.
I would take that as high-low.
Well, it could be a doubleton, Patty, but it could also be that partner started with 4 of them, because when you are returning partner suit, you return current count and you lead low from 3. If he had 3 left, he would return the 2. If he had 1 left, he would return the 2. You can't tell at this moment here. As I said, it depends on a number of other factors. It could be only 2, and some of this will have to be figured out from the bidding and the distribution of the other suits as well. This is not hard and fast science a lot of times. Sometimes you're just taking the information that you have and saying, well, my partner either had 2 or 4. Let me see how the declarer plays going forward so that I can figure out his shape, and then I'll know how many my partner started with. But partner returns current count. So returning the 2 means he started with either 2 of them or with 4 of them. Okay, number 3. Another 4th from the longest and strongest lead. Where are the ace and the queen on this hand? And declarer played the king. You're looking at the jack, right? Could partner possibly have the ace or the queen? There are no honors in the dummy. So if he had a high honor, he would play it. The declarer is being a little deceptive here. If he wins with the queen, he gives away the fact that he has the ace and the king, generally. If he wins with the ace, everybody says, why didn't he hold up? Oh, he didn't hold up because he has several stoppers. So the most deceptive play that the declarer can make here is to win with the king, because any declarer who has the king in this seat will generally have to take the trick with it. But you should not let that deceptive declarer fool you. Your partner played the highest card he had because there's no honor in the dummy. So let him try to be tricky and deceptive. You know now that there's not going to be much future in this suit. It's going to take at least 3 leads to set it up. Partner also doesn't have the 9, or he wouldn't have played the 10. This means that the declarer has the ace, king, queen, 9 in his hand. Are you going to get anything if you lead this suit again? Not a chance. Not a chance. See how you can figure this out? If you think for a minute and remember that in this situation, when there are no honors in the dummy, partner plays the highest card in his hand. That means that the ace, the king, the queen, and the 9 are in the declarer's hand because playing the 10 denied the 9. I think this is pretty cool myself. This is why I love defense so much. It's like magic to me. If you know what the rules are and you and your partner are in agreement that this is how we're going to play, you can gain more information than you ever dreamed possible if you just stop and think for a minute. Now then, partner wins the ace in this suit. You think, yippee, looky here, 6-card suit. I led low, my partner wins the ace. He returns the 10 and declarer plays the queen. Who has the jack? If your partner had it, it'd hit the table. When he played the 10, he denied having the jack because you lead the top of what you have. He led the 10, denying the jack. So I'm saying declarer has the jack all day long, and it appears to be guarded. So if you want to get the rest of these tricks here, you're going to have an entry in another suit and have to try to figure out a way to tell partner where it is. Partner wins the ace. When he returns the 10, he either started with the ace 10, it looks like it, because declarer seems to have the queen jack 5. That means you have 6, declarer has 3, and both the dummy and your partner have 2. Already we know the shape of this suit just from the first 2 tricks and what's going on here totally. We know that the declarer has the jack. You can either let him hold it. If you have an outside entry, you can let him hold the queen. He concealed the jack. You can let him hold the queen. And if you have an outside entry, you can get back in. Then you can run your suit. If you don't have an outside entry, you're in trouble because the likelihood of being able to run that suit is not great. So, oh, these are the answers. I just went right through all of that. This is a lot. I understand that this looks like it's overwhelming, but you don't implement all of this all at once. First off, you start agreeing that, okay, I'm going to play the lower of touching honors. Most of you were not taught when you first learned to play to the 3rd hand correctly. The new curriculum that we're using at the club now teaches 3rd hand players to play the lower of touching honors and to give partner an attitude signal when he leads. I believe this is a great step forward in bridge education, because these kinds of things are hard to learn and implement if you've just been playing cards in any old way for your whole bridge career. It's really hard to unlearn something and do it another way. Believe me, I know. I learned Gorin back in the early 60s. And when I came back to bridge in 2011, I had to unlearn a lot of things. I had never played a transfer. I didn't know what. First time I tried to use one, I transferred into a 4-card suit. That was not particularly successful. But I've been there. I know how frustrating this can be and how overwhelming it can seem. But if you just start with the first trick and playing according to these 2 rules, no honor in the dummy, play your highest card. We're going to get to when there's an honor in the dummy later on. But when there's no honor in the dummy, third hand plays his highest card. Unless he has touching honors, then he plays the lower of the touching honors. Playing the top one in that sequence denies the honor directly beneath it. All right, here we go. Here are a couple of exceptions. One of them is relatively easy to remember. This is the situation when you as third hand hold exactly ace, queen, and a small one. Not ace, queen, and 2 small ones. Exactly ace, queen, third. Your partner leads a low card, promising an honor of some sort. You have no idea which one it is. Well, if you play the ace first and declare holds the king, he now has the master card in the suit. He can hold up that king just the same as he can hold up the ace. Once the master card is established, it doesn't make any difference what that master card is. It can be held up for as long as the declarer can. So if you play the ace first and declarer has the king, you can lead the queen, but there's no law that says he has to cover the queen with the king. If he's half smart, he will duck your queen, and then he will take the last card that he thinks you have. Now, if you get the lead again, you don't have a card left to lead back to your partner, do you? Because at this point, it is now clear that partner led low from the jack. Well, if your partner has the king, it doesn't matter which of the 2 cards you play. It only matters if the declarer has the king and partner has the jack. So the secret is to play the queen from this combination. The declarer does not have X-ray vision. He doesn't know that you have the ace. It's entirely possible against a no-trump contract that his left-hand opponent could have underled the ace, and that if he doesn't take that king, he's not getting a trick with it, because if he lets you hold with the queen, you're going to lead right back through it, and there will go his one sure trick. Let the declarer have the king. He's always entitled to a trick with it when the cards are arranged this way. But when either you or your partner gets back in the lead, now you have the ace left to play, and you still have that all-important little card to return over to partner's jack. And he can proceed to take more tricks. The whole idea in playing the queen first from this holding only is to make declarer take that king if he has it. If your partner has the king, your queen's going to hold the trick. Next card you're going to put on the table is the ace. And finally, you have that little one left to lead over to partner's king. And hopefully you'll trap declarer's jack when you lead back. This is something I learned maybe 3 years ago from this holding only. And it's magic. It's amazing how well it works. It doesn't matter if your partner holds the king. You're going to get the same tricks anyway. But if you play the queen first and declarer holds the king, he has to take the trick. And if it's a no-trump contract, he is now wide open in that suit. Now, if this were a suit contract, then obviously all bets are off, because the declarer will know that your partner did not underlead an ace, because any competent defender never leads low from an ace against a suit contract. I mean, there are times when it's appropriate and it's the only chance you have to defeat a contract, but it takes an expert level player to be able to deduce that situation from the bidding only. So as a general rule, in a club game, nobody is going to underlead an ace versus a suit contract, at least not anybody in a standard open game. That's for certain. So the other exception is when the opening lead indicates that the declarer holds all the missing honors in a suit. Don't play your high card. Maybe you opened one spade and you have king empty fist, and your partner leads, say, something like the 8 or 9 spot, indicating a doubleton. Well, all the missing honors are held in the dummy and by the declarer. And the only reason to cover any card or to play a card is to try to promote something to your side. When the declarer holds all the missing honors, you're not going to promote anything except tricks for the declarer. So if the opening lead indicates the declarer has everything, just hold on to that high card. Something like this. One heart holding this suit. It's lovely, isn't it? But you know, we can't control what we're dealt. And I have an opening hand and this is my suit. I'm going to bet it. Partner leads the 9. Looks like the top of a doubleton. Oh, goody. The dummy has no honors in my suit. That means the declarer has all of them that are missing. Don't play the king. All you're doing is setting up all those cards for him. You have 5 cards to the king. And in general, I put this in here just as an FYI, playing standard carding that is not upside down, the lead of a 9 will nearly always, I'll say 99%, be a top of nothing lead. So partner's telling me when he leads the 9, this is the best I can do. Hope you have something decent over there. Well, I don't. So when the declarer's holding all those honors and you've got the lonely king there is no future. You're never getting that king. So don't establish all those cards for the declarer. Maybe there aren't enough cards in the dummy for him to be able to take, but maybe 1 or 2 finesses. But if you play the king on the first trick, then all those cards in his hand are now good. So just be stingy. In that instance, when you know the declarer has all the missing honors, just play a small card. Now, when there's an honor in the dummy, and third hand also has an honor, well, either third hand's honor is higher than the one in the dummy, or it's not. For instance, partner leads the 2, declarer says play low. The lead of the 2 indicates some kind of something, doesn't it? Which card do I play? Well, if I play the 8, I'm running the risk of giving the declarer a trick with the 9. That doesn't look particularly appealing to me. So I'm going to play the queen. Maybe my partner has the ace jack over there. I don't know, assuming it's a no trump contract. So I'm going to play the queen, the same card I would play if there hadn't been any honor in the dummy. But the dummy's honor is higher than mine is. Here's one that's just a little bit different. This time I have 2 honors and the dummy has only 1. One of the main things you need to remember when you're defending is that if there's an honor in the dummy and you have an honor that's higher, you need to hang on to that honor to guard the honor that's in the dummy. If the declarer has the king, he's always entitled to 1 trick from holding the king in his hand and the queen on the dummy. He's always entitled to one trick. He is not entitled to two, which is what he will get if you play the ace here. He'll get a trick with the king and with the queen. But your partner led the two. That means he has some kind of honor. I can see three of them. I hope it's not the 10 that he led. I mean, that could be a little tough. But I'm hoping that he has the king. If I play the ace here, then declarer's queen and the dummy will control the third round, won't it? In this case, I'm going to put the jack on the table. If the declarer takes the king, all well and good. He was entitled to one trick. But I still have the ace sitting over the queen here. He will not get a second trick. Now then, how do you know you should play the jack? I mean, we can't send secret signals across the table. But if you and your partner use Boston leads, bottom of something, top of nothing leads, then the lead of the two strongly implies an honor. Strongly implies an honor. That may not be true if you bid the suit. Partner may lead low saying, hey, partner, I have 3 of these with you over here. But if you didn't bid the suit and he leads this suit and leads the 2, I'm giving him credit for an honor. And since I can see 3 of them, I'm going to think, well, my partner must have the king. So I'm going to play the jack. Then I'm going to play the ace. And then I'm going to fire that 4 back. Then I'm going to fire the 4 back. My partner will take the king and he will have a card left to take then. So 4 tricks on this layout. If you just remember to keep an honor over the one in the dummy. Keep that queen guarded, because the declarer is not entitled to 2 tricks if he holds the king in his hand and the queen in his hand. He is entitled to only one. The whole idea behind the defense is to give the declarer only those tricks he's entitled to and not more. On this particular layout, the declarer should not get any tricks in this suit. Yay for the defense. Now, here's the way I drew it out after showing that partner did lead from the 10. And if he did, that's fine. There's no problem here. Declarer is always entitled to 1 trick. The whole secret too is when you get back in the lead, you don't lead that ace, because then now that makes the queen good. You wait for your partner to lead this suit again. Then you're going to start talking about, after what you play subsequently after that is you just have to figure out how many tricks declarer has and how many he needs to get in order to make his contract as to what you would play if the declarer ducked this one as well. What needs to happen is partner needs to put the 10 on the table, since you played the jack the first time. He needs to put the 10 on the table, so the declarer virtually has to play the queen in order to have a chance to win the trick. Here's another rule. If the dummy has an honor, either the ace, king, queen, or jack, and third hand has a higher honor, here's the way third hand plays. If the honor is played from the dummy, then the third hand covers. If the honor in dummy is not played, third hand keeps his honor and inserts his next highest card, provided it's a 9 or better. We don't want to let the declarer have a really cheap trick by playing the 6 or the 7 or something. Sometimes you just have to play that high honor. So in this situation, if declarer calls for the queen, he should play the king. If the declarer calls for a low card, he should play the 9 and keep that king over the queen. but change that 9 to the 8 or the 7, and then he should play the king anyway. This keeps, hopefully, the declarer from getting a really, really cheap, undeserved trick. That's just a kind of a standard rule that a lot of pairs have adopted. If you and your partner want to say the 8, that's fine. You know, you can choose whatever one you want to, but most books and experts say the 9 is is about as low as you want to go.
Susan,
Yes.
if you wouldn't mind backing up for just a second, Susie asks in the chat, how often do you lead low from the 10, looking at that top hand?
Well, maybe this, you decide what suit you're going to lead first. And then you select your opening lead from what you're holding is in that suit. If this is a no trump contract, I only have 2 cards in sequence. So that means I have to lead the 2. Maybe the opponents bid the other 3 suits and finally ended up in no trump. Well, I'm going to lead the unbid suit. And from that holding, I'm going to lead the 2. So the 10 is an honorette, as I like to say. It gets no points, but it's a valuable card in many instances. You probably don't lead from the 10 as often as you do one of the other honors, simply because there are 4 of them and there's only the 10. But sometimes this is your best choice. So it happens. This is not what I would call rare, but it's not what I would call frequent either. How's that for hedging?
That's great. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Now what are we going to do? Partner has led the jack. The lead of the jack promises the 10. And if this is a no trump contract, it also promises the 9 or the 8. In this case, partner has both, but he doesn't have to. He should have either the jack 10-9 or the jack 10-8 leading against a no trump contract. Remember, you need 3 cards in a sequence to lead the top of a sequence versus a no trump contract. So he leads the jack. You can see the queen in the dummy, and partner could be leading from the king jack 10, and that could be an interior sequence, or this might be just the jack. Now then, what should I do if the declarer calls for the 3? I'm going to keep my ace over that queen. I might play the 6 to encourage my partner to say, don't be afraid, keep coming. Notice the jack will force the king if declarer wants the trick. Next time partner gets in the lead, he can push his second honor through the queen, and if it's called for, he will. If it's not called for, I'm going to hold on to my ace and let him hold the trick. Finally, when it's played on the 3rd round, I'll play my ace. Partner is sitting over there with the 8, and hopefully he has more than that 1 point in his hand, so he can get that 8 later on. Declarer is entitled to only 1 trick here. This is the same situation that we saw earlier when your partner led low. Declarer is entitled to a trick with the king, and that is all. So this is an extension of the rule I just talked about. If your partner leads an honor card and not a low card, the dummy has a higher honor than what he led, and 3rd hand has an honor that is even higher than the dummy's. 3rd hand plays the honor only if declarer calls for the dummy's honor. Now, this doesn't mean that you can check your common sense and logic at the door. Sometimes you just have to say, this is what I'm going to do because it's clearly right, even though it's not what the rule says. We had a bidding snafu here, and the contract is 6 no trump by the opponents. Partner led an honor, and the declarer calls for a low card. What should he do? Well, I know what I'm thinking. I see 7 diamond tricks in the dummy. I'm thinking that I'm going to take my ace and then I'm going to put the other ace on the table. I'm not going to be greedy and try to set it more than one trick, because I'm liable not to be able to set it when I see that long threatening diamond suit in the dummy. I don't care what the rules say. For instance, we're going to say this is spades. If declarer decides he's going to duck in the dummy, I'm still going to play the ace, and then I'm going to put the ace of hearts on the table. That this is really what you call a bidding snafu. And 6 no trump off 2 cashing aces. You will hardly ever see this, simply because bidding is much better these days than it used to be. But in case something happens like this, don't forget what your goal is. Your goal is to set the contract. Maybe somebody else can set it too, but your whole goal is not to let them make 6 no trump. So set it 1 at least, and then go on about your business. Now we're going to talk about another important job that third hand has, and that is unblocking to get out of your partner's way. When your partner leads the top of a sequence, and you can tell that it is when it's an honor, it's what they call a power lead. And usually your partner is asking you to drop an honor if you have it. Usually that will be the queen or the jack. Sometimes it's the 10, but most often it is the queen or the jack. However, when your partner leads the king and you're sitting there looking at the ace doubleton, the last thing you want to do is let your partner hold the king and then win the second round. Your side is entitled to 5 tricks here. You will not get them if you decide to be stingy with your ace. I know it's hard not to think of playing the ace on the king as wasting your ace, but you have a far more important job than taking a trick with the ace. Remember, it's third hand's job to get out of his partner's way. So on the lead of the king, when you're holding ace doubleton, you take the trick and you return that low card. Partner knows then that you had a doubleton. And he says, oh, okay, that's good. I can see 3 of them here in the dummy. I can take all 5 of these tricks. Only because third hand got out of the way. It would be a real shame if he waited till the second round, took the ace, and discovered he didn't know how to get back to his partner's hand. Maybe his partner doesn't have an entry. If this is part of the reason for the hold-up play. If the declarer holds up long enough and the guy with the long suit here doesn't have an outside entry and his partner doesn't have a card in the suit, well, those tricks are going to die on the vine. It's the same kind of situation when your partner holds the ace doubleton. He has to play it and get out of his partner's way. Now then, here's another no trump contract that we're defending, only this time I have the king doubleton. My partner led the queen. I don't know if he's leading from ace, queen, jack. This could be the top of an interior sequence headed by the ace. All I know is that I cannot afford to duck the trick. When I play the king, declarer will take his ace, and that'll be the end of it for our side. I have to take the king, return my little one, so that unless partner declarer decides to take the ace at that moment, knowing that I'm out, of course, it depends on how he's going to play the hand. He may duck again. But my partner's the one who can keep leading this suit. I am not. He has a suit that he wants to set up. He says, we have a good chance to get tricks here, partner. So once again, it's my job to get out of his way. If declarer takes the ace, oh well, this is only 3 points. Surely my partner will have an entry somewhere else and can get in later if he takes the ace. If he doesn't, Well, he can keep leading this suit to clear it so that when he does get back in the lead, he has good tricks to take. Now, these are two examples that occur pretty often. And third hand play is a lot the same when it's a no trump contract or a suit contract. The only thing that I would say that's different is when you hold the ace queen small in a trump contract, you take a big risk if you don't take your ace on the first round, because the declarer then is going to play the king on the second round, and maybe you can get a trick with your queen later. It's only in a no trump contract that you want to play the queen from ace queen third first.
Hey, Susan.
Yes.
Back on slide 14, I missed a question before you moved on with the one after that.
Oh, 14. Okay.
Yeah. The if you had 3 cards, ace and 2 small, for instance, instead of 2, do you still
Well,
play
in
the
that
ace on
instance,
the
I
board?
would let partner lead. I would play the higher of my 2 cards to encourage him. Then I'd take the second one and return the third one.
Thank you.
That's a completely different situation. The ace thirds is a bit different. And of course, if this were a suit contract, partner only promises 2 cards in a sequence. So I would not overtake in a suit contract having an ace doubleton. Well, on the second hand, I might. I would overtake if I had a doubleton and I knew my partner had king queen. I want a ruff. So if in holding this type of situation at a suit contract, I'm going to overtake the king and fire back that little one. And that should tell my partner, hey, I have a doubleton over here. Give me a ruff right now. And we can take 3 tricks in this suit. So in this case, my play in no trump or a suit contract would be exactly the same. However, if I had ace third, it would be different. It would be completely different because number one, I don't know but what declarer is going to ruff the second or third round. I don't want to overtake an honor only to set something up for the declarer, or go to all that work and just have the declarer trumpet. But there's something to be said for making the declarer trump in the long hand. You know, I've talked about the forcing defense before, but in this case, if this is a suit contract, king hits the table, I play the ace and play the 3 back. I would never do that if I had 3 cards, because my partner has every right to expect when he wins the queen that I have a doubleton there. I would encourage when I had the ace, and you know, you're supposed to give partner a good attitude signal when he leads. And the reason you give him a good attitude signal when you have a touching honor. I don't have the jack here, but I do have the ace. So if I had 3 cards, hopefully I have something other than the ace 3-2. I hate it when that happens. I can't give my partner positive attitude unless I'm playing upside down when that kind of thing happens. But I want to encourage when I have a touching honor. In this case, though, I want to take the ace and fire it back, and then partner may just go ahead and put the jack on the table, and I'll save my trump. I have no way of knowing, though, at a suit contract whether he has king, queen, 10, king, queen, jack, or king, queen, and out. Because against a suit contract, remember, you only promise 2 cards in the sequence when you lead. So if this is a 2-card sequence, I want to be sure to overtake and fire back my little one. When partner puts the jack on the table, I say, no, okay, that's all right, and I'll throw something off. But if he had only the king and queen and he leads a small card, then I can rush. So this play works quite well at either a no trump or a suit contract. It is most important in the no trump contract because your side's entitled to 5 tricks from this suit. And the only way you can get them is by overtaking the king with the ace and firing the little one back. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was great. Another one came in on opening lead. Attitude is more important than count.
Well, that's a matter of partnership agreement. I know a lot of people who like count only. They don't care about your attitude. They just want to know how many you have. I personally like to know my partner's attitude about my opening lead, but there are other ways to show it, like the Smith Echo, for instance. And I'm not going to go into that here, but there are other ways of showing your attitude about the opening lead later on in the hand, rather than at trick 1. Most of my partners like to know attitude, though, and I play upside down, with the exception of one partner. And so in my case, a low card means I like it. A high card means, can't help you, partner. Sorry. So it's a matter of partnership agreement as to what the first signal that you give is when partner is leading. Now, sometimes partner will lead a suit and you see the ace, king, queen in the dummy. Well, at that point, attitude doesn't matter. We all know what your attitude is. So in that instance, when attitude doesn't matter, then it's a count signal that would be most important. Conversely, when there is a singleton in the dummy and it is a trump contract, attitude is not important at all. Count does not apply. It makes no difference how many you have. There's a singleton in the dummy. I don't particularly want to let them rough in the short trump hand. So then it becomes a suit preference signal. When your partner leads something and is winning the trick, or even when he's not, your card is suit preference in that instance. So it depends on the agreements that you have with your partners as to what the first signal is. Most of the time, for most people, when partner is leading, it will be attitude. When the declarer is leading, most of the time it will be count. So in other words, let's say your partner leads, let me think of an example here. If your partner leads a suit and you have a doubleton and you want to tell him that, so you play, let's say your doubleton is the 8 and the 4. So you play the 8 first. Well, that might be important at a suit contract, but that looks like encouragement at a no trump contract. Let's say partner plays an honor, and you're trying to tell him how many you have. Your partner generally wants attitude on the first lead, so the appropriate card for most people there would be the 4 rather than the 8. So it changes according to what genre the contract is, what your partner led, and what you hold. So this is where you really, really need to have discussions with your partners on a regular basis. And, people are going to forget sometimes too. That happens even among experienced players. They pull the wrong card, or their mind wanders. And, the older we all get, the more our minds tend to wander a little bit when we should be totally focused on what we're doing, particularly with this game. So I would encourage anybody that has concerns about what you're going to play when and what your signal is to work with your partner, adopt one signal at a time. Don't try to add all 3 of them all at once. You will drive yourself crazy. Ask me how I know that. Try to remember just to give your partner attitude to start. When he leads, if he leads an honor, you need to give him attitude. But if he leads low, of course, you're going to have to play the highest card you can come up with, generally, especially if the dummy doesn't have an honor in it. So attitude applies when partner leads a high card, and he wants to know generally whether you have a touching honor. For instance, if he leads the king, promising the queen, he would like to know whether you have the ace or the jack. You encourage, give good attitude if you have either one of those, but you discourage if you don't have either one of them. That's what he needs to know most of the time. And so if you're not currently signaling, trying to defend without using signals is like trying to fight a big, strong guy with one hand tied behind your back. It becomes largely a matter of guessing. Defensive signals make defense much, much easier, but that doesn't mean they're easy to learn and to adopt. It just takes practice, 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 like everything else in this game. So, where are we? The summary. Yes. If you're sitting third hand, think about what the contract is. How many tricks do we need to set it? Approximately how many points does my partner have? If they're in a game contract and I have 10 points, my partner has maybe 4, may have 3. So I'm going to have to figure out most of the work that needs to be done here. What card could my partner have in his hand that would be helpful to me? If you can figure out what that card might be, then put it there. If that's what you need for him to have, imagine that that card is there. When you need your partner to hold one particular thing to be able to set a contract, play as though that's the situation that exists. Don't forget to turn your head 90 degrees and look at the dummy too. That can be really important. Now then, remember, when he leads a low card, he implies that he has an honor. It may be only the 10, but that's all he needs. Generally, you would not lead low from the 9. I've never seen that done. The lead of an honor promises a sequence unless your partner bid the suit. If you have King Doubleton in your partner's suit, by all means, put the king on the table. The lead of a kind of a middling spot card, like an 8 or a 7, and nearly always the 9, tends to be a top of nothing. So just say, okay, partner must have been really picking for a lead. Maybe he has honors in the other suits that he doesn't want to underlead to give away a free trick. Third hand plays the highest card in his hand when the dummy has only small cards, when your partner has led a low card. If there's a sequence of at least 2 touching honors in third hand plays the lower of the 2 touching honors. If that card holds the trick and third hand player is returning, return current count to your partner. With 2 cards left, lead just as you would if you were leading on the opening lead or breaking a new suit or whatever. When you have a Doubleton left, lead the top card. With 3 remaining cards, you would lead the lowest one. And when you had a 5-card suit, then you return your original 4th best. If third hand plays his cards in the order that I've described, and you and your partner both have worked on these rules and have come to an understanding, then the opening leader will have a lot of information. And with some practice, he'll be able to place the missing high cards around the table and be able to tell approximately what the distribution is. It's possible after only 2 leads in a suit to know where all the high cards are and exactly how many everybody started with. And when you add the bidding to it, you're well on your way to counting out the hand. Now, if on the other hand, the dummy comes down with an honor, if the third hand has a higher honor, he saves it to cover that honor that's in the dummy. He plays his next highest card provided it is at least the 9. This is it, a summary of the play to the first trick. The first trick is very, very important, but I think you can see how much information you can gain if you adopt the rules for third hand play. Does it take practice and memory and maybe breaking some bad habits for some of you? Absolutely it does. But I can tell you from my own perspective, because I've been down this road, that it is well worth it. Defense is a whole lot more fun because it's easier and you get it's very satisfying to set a contract that looked like it had every chance of making if you just follow a few simple defensive rules. So thanks for coming, everybody, this morning, and stay safe.
Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for watching this video today. Most of these videos come from our free bridge lessons that we present on Zoom every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you'd like to join us for those lessons, you can email us at the address shown below and we'll send you the link. If you can't attend the lessons, then feel free to subscribe to our channel and you'll be notified when there is a new one added. Again, thanks for stopping by and we hope to see you soon.